Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. So it's the start of June, start of a new month. It's time to look at the pens and the inks that I'm going to be using this month. So the theme that I've chosen, they're all pens that are under 50 Australian dollars. So hopefully there's some pens that most people can afford. So this month it really has been hard to pick the pens, mainly because I've got a lot of pens that fall into this category. So what I've done is I've just picked a nice range which will give you a really nice spread of some of the pens that are available. So join me now down on the mat. Let's take a look at these pens, let's take a look at the inks, we'll do some short writing samples and then we'll move on and into this month of June. So here we are down on the mat. It's time to take a look at the 6 pens that I'm going to be using during the month of June. So the first pen I'm going to fetch in is this one. This is a Salami Safari. This is in the charcoal colour. Now I've not had this pen for too long. When I bought it, it was 37 Australian dollars. I've used a couple of grey inks in this, but I've not been overly satisfied with them. So I thought, well, it's time to try something different. So in this pen, I've put this ink, Dieman Deciduous Beech. Yes, you're right, it's a bright orange. And I thought, why not go for something different? And let me fetch the pen in here. Normally, I try to match the colour of my pen and the colour of the ink. I thought, let's do something different, Gary. So I've gone for the orange. I'm really interested to see how this works. Now, the nib on this is this gorgeous black nib. Let me put it over on the paper. You know, so we've got a dark nib, we've got a dark pen, and we've got that beautiful bright orange ink. So, pen number 1 is a Salami Safari with a broader nib. The ink, as I say, is by brand Dieman, which is an Australian manufacturer, and it's Deciduous Beech. This is an ink that I've had for a while and I've really struggled to find a pen to put it in, and at the moment, with a little bit of testing I've done so far, I'm actually quite enjoying that ink in this pen. Let's look at our drying times. There's immediate. You know, it's really wet, really spreads out a really light colour. I'm going to leave it for 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Still fairly wet after 30 seconds. We'll leave it now for 1 minute. After a minute, you can still see it's fairly wet. So broad nib, maybe you expect that anyway. But I'm going to be interested to see how this combination goes. Whilst I remember, let me put on here how much it costs. So as I said, it was $37. Because I'm doing this month where it's all about the cost of the pen, I will write for each pen how much I paid for it. Now the cost now may be different. I'm just putting what it was when I bought it. So this was the Salami Safari with Dieman's Deciduous Beech. Pen number 2 is from Japan. It's a Pilot Metropolitan. So this cost me $38.50. I got this in the red colour. Let's take a look at the nib. So again, this is a pull-off cap, same as the Safari was. It's a fairly small nib. I'm not sure, it might be number 5, it might be even a little bit smaller. It's a steel nib, obviously. I mean, you're not going to get gold nib for $38.50. I quite like the pen though. When I got back into the fountain pen hobby about a year ago, this was the first pen I bought. So this is the one that got me back into this. The ink that I'm going to use in here, well, I had a look through all my red coloured inks and I decided on this one. This is a really nice vibrant red. It's Robert Oster Fire Engine Red. Let me fetch the pen in. So we've got a fairly good match there of ink to pen. And I thought, you know, this is a really nice bright red. And I wanted that because this is a fine nib from Pilot, which means, given it's a Japanese fine, it's more like a Western extra fine. It really is a thin line. So I wanted the colour to come out, and that's why I wanted the brighter colour. So let's take a quick look then. So what have we got? We've got a Pilot Metropolitan. You see what I mean about how fine that line is? Metropolitan. That's the problem when you're trying to talk and spell at the same time. It's got that fine nib. As I said, it was $38.50. Really fine line on this, and this is why I need that brighter colour. You know, I like the way it shows up in here. The ink, as I said, by Robert Oster. That's another Australian company. Really like Robert Oster inks as well. And it's Fire Engine Red. Love the colour of this ink. It looks really nice in that fine line. Let's do our drying times. So immediate. You know, we expect it to be fairly dry anyway because of the fineness of the nib. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. You know, 30 seconds. Well, I've got to be honest, I can still see a little bit coming off there. So that means we'll go ahead and we'll do it for a minute. Yeah, so now it's dry. So this is the Pilot Metropolitan in that beautiful red colour with Robert Oster Fire Engine Red. My next pen is this one. This is the Delike New Moon 2. I love the looks of this pen. I'm just going to slowly twist it around. Look at the different shades coming off that. Now, for those that may be thinking, well, that looks like a Twisby Draco, the colours are very, very similar. I do actually have a Draco. Obviously, it's not in this month's rotation because it's just too expensive. But this, colour-wise, I would say is a very close match. I love the silver accompaniment to it as well because, again, it just fetches out that colour. Let's take a quick look at the nib. So this one, the cap screws off. There we go. And again, it's actually a fairly small nib. I would say not much difference in size than that Pilot Metropolitan. But it's a nice nib. There we go. So, ink that I'm putting in here is this one. This is Diamine Ancient Copper. So this is now tending towards the brown end as opposed to that red end. Let me fetch the pen in. Again, for me, I'm quite satisfied with the match. It's not exactly perfect. If this runs out, I may put Diamine Oxblood into here to try it with that. But it's still, I'm quite happy with Ancient Copper. I say it's just, I might change it up a bit as we go through the month. So this pen it's a Delike New Moon 2. The pattern is actually called Dark Rose. It really is nice. The nib on here is another fine nib, but this time it's a Chinese fine, so it's more like the Western fine as opposed to the Japanese. And this cost me $17.82. A really nice pen. I really enjoyed this pen. The ink, as I said, was Diamine Ancient Copper. Now this pen is definitely one, when I'm writing with it, I will use it posted, because I find unposted it is just a little bit too short for me. On here I'm doing it unposted, but that's just for convenience. But when I'm actually using it properly, I do post it. Let's try our drying times. So we go for an immediate time. You can really see here that brown, but it's like an orangey brown. We'll wait for 10 seconds. Whoops, accidentally caught the rest of the writing as well, so that shows you it's a fairly wet one. 30 seconds. You know, still nice and wet there. 1 minute. After a minute, we've still got a lot of wetness in there, so this will not be likely to be one I'm going to use for taking long notes. But this is the Delike New Moon 2 with Diamine Ancient Copper. My next pen, this is a fairly new one to me. I've not really had time to really do much with it, so I don't know how this performs. But this is a Kaigelu 316, and it's in the Aloe pattern, as in ALOE for aloe vera. I'm just going to turn this around here. That is absolutely gorgeous. It's a stunning colour. It's a stunning finish. You know, we've got whites, we've got greens. We've got some slight translucency. I'm not sure if I like that being able to see the barrel through there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's really pretty. The ink I've got in it, well, it's another one by Diamine. It's Diamine Soft Mint. I would say this is like a cool bluey with very strong hints of green. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm not very good with colours. You may have already noticed that. I fetched the pen in. I think that's a fairly good match. Yeah, not an exact match colour for colour, but I can see that soft mint colours coming through into the pen. So let's get this out of the way. So what have we got? A Kaigelu. .316, which has got a medium nib. Now this pen, it cost me 24 Australian dollars. Now I don't know if you noticed when I started writing, I had a couple of issues with the K and the A, but then it very quickly smoothed out. So that's one of the things I'll be looking for and testing for as I go through. Let me just move that paper up a bit. There we go. Isn't that a bit better? Now we've got it more in the middle. The ink, Diamine. Soft mint. So again, another issue there on the top of the F. When I see the ink on paper, it is a nice closer match to the pen. Oh, I didn't show you the nib. Let's show you the nib before we do our drying times. I like this nib because it's got a two-tone. I personally prefer two-tone nibs. In the hand, it's not too bad. It's a duofold style pen, so, you expect it to fit not too bad. It doesn't really post. Yes, it will go on the end, but I don't really think it'll stick there. But yeah, unposted, it's usable anyway. Anyway, drying times. That's immediate. 10 seconds. Wow, hasn't that dried off a lot already? 30 seconds. Yeah, 30 seconds and that's lovely and dry already. So this could be a really good one for doing that in more longer form notes. This is the Kaigelu 316 in that gorgeous aloe colour with Diamine Soft Mint. Pen number 5 for this month is this beauty. This is a Wingsun 699 in transparent brown. Now, to be honest, the reason I bought this is I would love to get myself a Pilot Custom 823. I really would, but it's a lot of money. This is very close in terms of size, looks. So I thought, well, this is a good one to see how I get on using something like a Custom 823. This is also a vacuum filler, so it's as close as I could get. It's a really good way of trying it out. And when you look at it, it does look very similar to that 823. If I take the cap off, it's got this gorgeous, again, it's a duotone nib. You've got gold, then silver, then gold. Absolutely love the look of this nib. It's a fairly large looking nib as well, isn't it? Really is nice. One of the issues I've got with that, I've just put the cap on and you can see this end cap here has fallen off. This is constantly falling off. This is one of the downsides of this pen. Now, I need to empty it out completely, which is what I'm hoping to do this month. Then I can look at what can I do to fix this. I don't want to play around until I've got the pen empty because I don't want to end up throwing ink all over the place. So this is one of the things that I'm going to be really looking at this month. This is important because this is used to seal off the barrel from the section. So when it's down, that means the section is completely separated off from the barrel, so no ink can get in through to it. So that means if you're going like on a plane or anywhere, wouldn't that be nice really to go on a plane? You don't have to worry too much about losing the whole contents of the pen. If there's an issue with air pressure, you'd only lose what's in the section. But I need to get that working because again, I've got a pen, it's not working properly. So what ink have I got in here? Well, I've got another Diamine ink. This one's chocolate brown. Now you may be thinking, Gary, that's the third Diamine ink, and it is. I've been on a bit of a Diamine kick at the moment. I've now got a number of different inks from them, and to be honest, I can see that collection growing as I can afford them. This is a really gorgeous dark brown. Now when I was writing here, when I was using the dip pen, to be honest, it looks really black to me. But in the swatch, you can see the different shades of brown. So it'd be interesting to see how this one performs in the pen. So we've got here a Wingsun. 699, which has got a medium nib. This cost me $37.17. Those 17 cents are so important. That ink, Diamine, chocolate brown. This is another pen. Feels a little bit short in my hand. Yes, I can post it, but unposted, it's livable, but it does feel a little bit on the short side. Drying times. There's immediate. 10 seconds. That's actually not too bad. I mean, I would say it's a little bit in comparison with the Diamine Ancient Copper. 30 seconds. To my eyes, there's no difference between 10 and 30. We'll leave it now for 1 minute. After a minute, still a little bit coming off, but if I was using this for notes, yeah, I'd be happy enough to turn the page like that. So this is the Wingsun 699 with Diamine chocolate brown. Let me just move this paper so we can get the last one in there. There we go. Let's move that over. That's better, isn't it? Okay, the last pen we've got today is this one. This is by Jin Hao, and this is the Jinhao X750. Now you can get this in lots of different finishes. I decided to get this in this black, but it's got a bit of texture to it because I thought it looks different. You know, a lot of my pens, they're like shiny, whereas this, it's got that matte finish, and it does look that little bit different to me. The cap pulls off, and it reveals this gorgeous, largish, I would say maybe a number 6 size silver steel nib. Let's just turn that around for you. Really nice nib on this one. Pop that back. So what ink did I decide to use in this? Well, it's a black pen. Beauty of black pens, you can use virtually any colour you want. So I thought, well, what have we got? We've got some orange inks, we've got a red ink, we've got a couple of brownish inks, we've got that lovely soft mint, that green ink. So what else can I go for but purple? Noodler North African Violet. To me, this is a really nice, dark but vibrant purple colour. Bit different, isn't it? It's a bit like the orange. I'm trying to use some different colours to really, well, it fetches some interest into the writing when you're doing it by having the different colours, doesn't it? So we have got here a Jinhao X750. It's got a medium nib. And this pen was really expensive. It was $6.14. You know, it's near enough a throwaway pen, isn't it? The ink, it's Noodler North African Violet. I will be honest, the colour of this, together with the name, it takes me back to when I was really young. And one of my grandmothers, one of my memories of her house, there was always a violet plant in it. And this really does make me think of that violet, you know. And that's one of the nice things about being able to use different inks. You can trigger memories and really re-experience them just by looking at the ink. Drying times, immediate, you know, fairly wet looking. 10 seconds. Doesn't really seem to have changed much, does it? 30 seconds. Then finally, 1 minute. After 1 minute, again, it's still got a little bit of wetness to it. So this is another one I need to look at and really test with them longer form notes to see how they go. So this is the Jinhao X750 with Noodler North African Violet. Let me just clear this off and then I'll fetch in all the pens. We can have one last look at them. So here we go with the pens for June of 2021. We've got a Salami Safari with that glorious orange of the Van Dieman's Deciduous Beech. We've got the Pilot Metropolitan with that vibrant Robert Oster Fire Engine Red. We've got the Delike New Moon 2 with that lovely brownish orangish Diamine Ancient Copper. A Kaigelu 316 with that really nice soft mint colour, that beautiful green colour. We've got a Wingsun 699 with that really dark Diamine chocolate brown. Really does remind me of dark chocolate. And then the last pen is the Jinhao X750 with that beautiful purple, that Noodler North African Violet. So what do you think of the pens that I've picked? Are there any that you would like to see added to that list? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation and share the pens so that we can all find some really inexpensive pens that would love to use. Please hit the thumbs up button. The more people that like and comment, well, it helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.